Welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 Movie Review. I am your host, Mike, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about Marvel Studios' Black Widow. Black Widow begins in the year 1995, where we meet the Romanov family, who are living in Ohio. They end up having to go on the run because they are secret agents, secret spies for the Soviet Union. There's a chase that ensues on a plane involving some FBI agents. There's also a scene in Cuba where a young Natasha Romanoff and her sister Yelena are taken away and instituted in the Black Widow program. We see a cameo from Senator Ross, and we also see Natasha and her sister Yelena go all around the world in search of blood samples that produces pheromone that Dreykov, the main villain, is able to control and keep control of his Black Widows. Now, in watching this film, I started to like it in the first half, but then that like that I had, it quickly faded away, especially as the third act of the film approached. And with this film, it just seemed to go all over the place. And I'm not just talking about the locales that they went to, being in Ohio, Cuba, Norway, Morocco, and Budapest. I'm talking about this film, starting off as an action adventure thriller and then going into comedy. And that's one thing that really takes me out of a movie, especially a Marvel movie anymore, is all the comedy they try to throw in. And instead of having serious moments like they used to have in Marvel movies pre-Disney, it seems like anymore, all Marvel Studios wants to do, all Kevin Feige wants to do, is throw in comedy here, comedy there into the movies. And with this movie, we see Natasha's on the run, 21 years later after the events in 1995. And you can tell that this movie is taking place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, just because of what you see, what you hear in the movie, references to Clint and Tony Stark, Captain America, there's references to Hulk. But this movie can't decide what it wants to be. It can't decide whether it wants to be an action-adventure film or a comedy. And the reason why I say that is there are a lot of times in this movie, especially in one scene where they're breaking out Red Guardian, where they're making one joke after another. It's like, come on. Either be a serious action film or make this Black Widow the comedy. I don't mind comedy bits here and there in movies, but it's just gotten ridiculous, as I've previously stated. It's gotten too much. Too much comedy ruins the movie for me. If I'm gonna be watching a movie featuring Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, then I want it to be a high-paced action adventure film. I want it to be, an espionage film. I want it to be a spy film, because that's what she is. She's a spy. And as far as, the costumes were fine. And the special effects, on the other hand, you could heavily tell the CGI in this movie. The CGI was subpar in my opinion. Now, granted, I don't know a thing when it comes to generating CGI planes, CGI hideouts, and in this case the hideout was up in the sky. That's where the villain Dreykov was, and honestly the CGI could have used a little bit more work. And as far as Taskmaster is concerned, well, Taskmaster was a waste. Taskmaster was an absolute waste in this film. Yeah, it's cool to see Taskmaster at first wearing that costume, paying a little homage to its comic book source, but in the end, you don't see Taskmaster all that much in this film. I couldn't even keep track of how long it actually was. I think it was maybe at least 30 seconds. I know, I'm cutting it short, but honestly, Taskmaster should have been built up a lot better, and Dreykov should have been more threatening, but he wasn't really that threatening, and having to use, blood samples to keep control of the Black Widows, and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, breaking her nose to keep herself safe. Well, honestly, that was just stupid. And one of the jokes I found stupid was when they're breaking out Red Guardian and they're over the compound that he's at. I don't remember if it was in Siberia or not, but you got Yelena flying the helicopter, you got Black Widow down on the compound, and they're making little quips here, little quips there. Yelena's being shot at in the helicopter she's flying. She's making a stupid little quip. Black Widow's making a stupid little quip about Red Guardian. It's like, oh, come on. Again, I wish I could have enjoyed this entire movie, but I didn't. And it's all the stupid jokes. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's all the stupid jokes that are thrown into Marvel movies anymore. I mean, how can you take any of these movies seriously, especially when you have characters like Natasha Romanoff, when all you're going to do is throw in jokes? Really, it gets old. And then, of course, near the end, there's a family reunion with Natasha, Yelena, Red Guardian, and their mother. And there's even a point in the movie where it looks like they're all going to be going together, but no, they all end up going their separate ways. And there's also this sidekick for Natasha. It's a guy who's able to get resources for her, find out information for her. Well, all in all, it's a waste of a character. Waste of that actor's time. I don't even remember the actor's name, but I thought it was a waste of that actor's time. But I guess if you're going to be cast in a Marvel movie, you take whatever gig you can get. And one of the things you see at the end is a badly CGI'd Quinjet. Yeah, that's right. I'm going back to what I was saying about the CGI. The CGI was terrible. The story itself. The first half starts off good. It's when you get to the third half of the movie where everything seems to fall apart. Everything falls apart in the third half. You got the Romanovs in this compound that's up in the sky. Dreykov's up there. Dreykov's, on his little power trip. I mean, he's even a short guy, so I guess it's one of those things where they're alluding to a short man's complex. And, it just loses traction in the third act. And some of the jokes that weren't that funny were when Natasha and Yelena are able to get Red Guardian out of the base, and the girls, they're actually being serious at one point, and Red Guardian says, "What is it, the time of the month?" And they go on to tell them that they have no uterus, no reproductive organs. It's like, really? We know. We heard it alluded to in other Marvel films of what has happened to Natasha and the other Black Widows. But you just gotta throw that in there and put it in as a funny haha. And well, guess what? It's not a funny haha. And what do I think of this movie? I think this movie came out several years too late. I think what they should have done with this movie is release it right after Captain America Civil War. It would have been a nice lead-in to Infinity War. I'm not going to say it's going to take away from Infinity War had they done that. If they had let it into Infinity War, written the script better, done the story better, then this could have been one hell of a movie. But unfortunately, it is what it is. We end up getting what we got. A movie that tries to be multiple types of films, and it isn't. So if I'm going to give this movie a rating, out of 5 stars, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. It started off great. Some of the action sequences were pretty cool. But all in all, when you waste characters like Taskmaster, Dracov's even wasted, Red Guardian's wasted, the third act is a waste, it takes it out for me. So that's my viewpoint on this movie. That's my take on this movie. That's my opinion on this movie. If you've seen this movie, you got a different take, different opinion, well, I'd like to hear from you in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you like what you saw here, please give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. Share this video with your friends. Leave a comment down in the comment section below, as I previously stated. And if you like the content here on the channel, subscribe. Thank you all very much. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you all later. Take care.